Ding, 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 ding. That is not a bell. That is a pretend sound simulating a bell. Today, we're going to discuss the radio. On the cover shot, you will see some radios. Do you see the many radios in the cover shot?
Well, first of all, hello, my American friend. And second of all is, what radios? I don't understand. We were going to discuss a woman or women plural or singular. I don't know.
Okay, well, actually, we were going to discuss the Blue Water Bridge, but that got postponed. And then we were going to discuss South Park, and that got postponed. So today, we should just try to focus on radios. When I was a teenager, I had a little transistor radio. I was so excited to get it. My grandfather bought it for me, and it kind of fit in the palm of your hand. It had a little wristband on it. You could walk around like it was a purse. I thought that was so much fun. It had little, I don't know if it had batteries in it or what. I just remember it had AM and FM. I don't even know what AM and FM stands for.
Hey, I still have a radio because I told you many times about how I have this fallout shelter or my summer. Yeah, and I actually used it this afternoon. Yeah, it has AM and FIM and I don't know what, all this AM stuff. But you know what's interesting? Because I get perfect quality reception of Italian radio channels. I don't know how to put that into words. I don't know how it's possible at all, but it's like I'm in Italy.
Because Italy is an amazing place. Perhaps in your next life you'll be there, and this is just sort of a preview. Yeah, it's interesting.
Italy is for the woman. I know everyone. I know every woman I know dreams of Italy. They consider Italy like a paradise, like I would have considered a paradise. But they consider it to be in Italy.
You mean the three women you know, including me, like Italy?
It's do you remember? You haven't watched it, I know. The Friends TV show, and the Chandler said, Chandler's girlfriend, her name is Monica. Yeah. She said, "Well, you kissed me and you were good at it," something like that. I rephrased it, but I paraphrase it. But he answered, "Yes, I'm good at kissing because I've kissed over 4 women or something like that." So
that's good. That's good. No, I like Italy. I like Greece.
Speaking of women, speaking of body count, do you think for women it is an achievement or under achievement?
What is the question? Should a woman be excited?
Well, the question is if Chandler kissed over 4 women, I think he meant 4, not over, just 4. Do you think that would be overachievement for a man of his age? He was about 27, I think.
No.
Or would that be an
You should have kissed that many people when you're 15 years old. When you're 15, you should have kissed 4 girls.
Yeah, but your sign is awful. When was it that?
My what is awful? My answer is awful?
At the age of, no, you're no. Awful would be the fact that by the age 15, you kissed 4 women. Because as far as I remember, I kissed 1, I guess, by the age of 15. I don't remember.
Well,
no.
But it was cold, and you guys were all wearing sweaters.
No. It was summer. It wasn't cold at all. And
I just know that once the hormones start, working, that boys and girls, they'll kiss each other. So I wouldn't think that 4 would be a big number for a teenager. And Chandler was already approaching 30. So by then he should have done a lot more than that. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either. Anyway, tell me about your radios you had.
The radio, I had a radio, and I really wanted a radio, and my mom said, well, go ask your grandfather, because I was the first grandchild, and pretty much anything I'd ask for, he would give me. But I didn't really understand about money. I didn't know how much things cost. I just knew this was kind of something other girls and guys had, and those girls and guys had money, and they had money in they actually had money in their purse or in their wallet. And I never really carried around much money as a teenager. And so, I don't know, I just very nervously called up my grandfather, and he said, sure, let's go on Saturday. So he came over and he took me to electronics part of a store, and got this little radio, and it came inside I guess it was real leather. I don't know. It was a red and white radio that came inside like a black leather case. And at the time, they also had a swimming pool where we lived. We were living in San Antonio that year. And they used to have something called Teen Swim. So anyone that was a teenager or college age, something like Wednesday night, the swimming pool was closed to kids and families, and the teenagers could like swim in the dark, and they had little special lights, and it was really exciting. And like, I remember going there with my little radio, and I had a book that I was also reading, probably like, I don't know, like French literature. I don't think it was a Russian novel, but something like French literature, something really, something that no teenager would take to a swimming pool who was looking for a guy. And I remember thinking I was so cute. I had my bathing suit on, and I had my book I was reading, and I had my little radio. And guess what? No boys talked to me. It was sad.
No voice what? No voice talk?
They didn't talk.
No voice talk to you?
They didn't talk to me. I think it's because I had a book. There were other girls that didn't have a book. They didn't come to the Teen Swim as the swimming pool was closed to parents and families and little kids. It was just for high school and college age, And so it was once a week they would have that. So I remember getting excited, and I was going to take my new radio, and I had new lipstick, and brought a book. Then I remember sitting there by myself and watching the boys and the girls jump in the water and swim under the water and tickle each other and do other secret things in the water. I was just there reading my book.
Isn't it interesting how we pretend to be not interested? Sorry for because sometimes we play exactly the opposite of what we want to get. And like in your case, you'd like to have any boys talk to you, and you had a book, like you're not interested. I can relate. Also, I'm not interested in boys because I am a boy. I was, right?
But see, the thing is, the boys didn't like me because I was smart, and nobody would bring a book to a swimming pool. American teenagers might have a fashion magazine or a fashion magazine about hair and lipstick and purses. And I remember at school.
No. I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't want to be rude, but I don't think the boys were afraid of you because you were smart. Maybe you put that we're all wearing masks, metaphorically speaking, and maybe you put that mask on that said, "I'm not interested in boys."
I was wearing a two-piece bikini. I look great.
Yeah, but no, metaphorically speaking, you could be completely naked for the sake of the argument, but you wore that aura about you, or mask that you wore, that said, I am not interested in boys because I already kind of have one, maybe like much more maybe I already have a husband, so that nobody, But somehow I don't know how it works. I just know
Yeah,
that
no, I
if
see what
you,
you, yeah, I think you might be right because I was not silly and I was not jumping in the water and I was not one of these goofy girls. I was very serious. And I think some boys were afraid of me, like, wow, I don't even know how to talk to her. And I
yeah,
wrote then,
yeah, I know
yeah,
what you mean because I don't, but then again, I believe in destiny and in fate. Do you believe in destiny?
I don't know. Is it too late? I don't know. I don't really know.
It's never
I
late.
just
First of
remember.
all, it's never late because you can't make a mistake metaphorically, or not
No,
metaphorically,
actually,
fundamentally.
no, it actually turned out to be okay because I was Catholic, and also we had
Exactly. My point exactly, because it turned out to be okay, even though you didn't you don't think so, right?
well the
It's
other
still
yeah, and the other thing is at the time, uh, that was the last summer in San Antonio. Then we went to Frankfurt, Germany, and we lived there for 2 years, and then. Uh, I was spending time with the youth minister who was like 23 years old, and he was taking the teenagers to foreign films, and we were talking about philosophy. And so high school boys seemed kind of boring to me, and I still continued to carry books around. But at the time, I was wondering what was wrong with me because I had this great little radio. And then,
yeah.
I went off to college, and then people had these things called Walkman. I don't know what that was. It was something like a more sophisticated
Yeah,
radio.
that sounds familiar. Walkman.
I forget what it was. It was like something, and then there were pagers, and later there were cell phones. But like the development of technology,
Oh, I
um,
remember. I had a pager. Did you ever have a pager? Pager.
pager.
I don't know how it's
Yeah,
called where you at, but
yeah,
yeah, we call it pager.
yeah. No, I don't know. I was living. I wasn't living in the United States. But when I came back later, I don't know, I didn't have a pager, but other people, I don't know.
Why didn't you? Because you had to before the cell phones reappeared, or maybe appeared for the first time. Everybody had a pager. Didn't you have one?
No, I didn't. I don't think I had one.
But how did you talk to? I don't know or how wouldn't you? Maybe it's just me.
I
I could
didn't
be
have a
wrong.
pager because we left Germany and then I started college and I was busy studying and I had books. And then in the dormitories, there were telephones. So let's suppose I needed to call my family. So I go to the telephone, I sign up for an hour, and then I call my family and talk to them. And then I just went to sleep or I went back to the library. And then if somebody wanted to do something with me, they would talk to me and they would say, oh, hey, we're going to go to a movie. Do you want to go? I go, okay, what time? And then I just show up. So I didn't use a pager.
Well, that's okay. I'm not accusing you of anything. Just
I
I
feel
remember
really
I had
bad.
one, and I'm kind of
I feel
nostalgic.
really bad.
I'm not even sure if there is such a word in English. Nostalgic. Yeah.
Yeah, nostalgic, and also the picture of the cover shot of the thumbnail shows a lot of different radios, and I remember that my grandmother used to listen to baseball games on the radio, and when my grandfather was courting my grandmother, he was a baseball player, and then also when my mother was already engaged to somebody else, but she snuck away to watch these boys play baseball. These military boys play baseball, and my father, who was military, she ended up marrying him.
I apologize for to have you interrupted because I feel stupid next to you. All I know about baseball is a few stories written by, I guess he was British, the author. And his name was Lee Child. He's written
Yeah.
a few stories about that American military officer. What's his name? Tom Cruise played his in a movie.
Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams.
Reacher. Don't remember his name. Yeah, and also Tom Cruise. He played. He played. He was a movie star in A Few Good Men movie. Yeah, I love that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Jack
He played
Nicholson.
baseball in the very beginning of it. That's all I know about baseball. I apologize.
The basic idea is that baseball is a spring and summer sport, and girls would go to the bleachers and sit in the bleachers and watch the boys play baseball. And then they would go to the concession stand and get a Coke or a hot dog or something. And it was a place to go and watch boys. And then the boys wanted to show that they were strong. So they would hit a home run or they would do different things. So I guess baseball is kind of a quintessential American sport.
Well, what do they call it baseball? Because they have a bait or
No, there's four bases. Okay. There's home plate, then you go to the right, first base, then you go to the center, second base, then to the right, third base, then home again. Then when I played baseball, I used to play shortstop, and I always used to play left field.
You played baseball?
Yeah, I played baseball.
Wow, I thought that men's sport.
Make me now I feel really bad. No.
I
played baseball.
I'm not a misogynist or something. I just, again, I don't want to.
It's traditionally a man's sport. But remember the episodes about a month ago? Everything you thought is wrong. I mean, you were surprised.
But 99%. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I just know that when you're in high school or college, you have to take physical education. So you could do a gymnastics class, or you could do an exercise class, or you could join a team. So I didn't want to just go stand in a big gymnasium and do exercises. So I just joined a team, and you could sign up for girls' baseball. So that they had, like, if you make a fist, that's called hardball. But at the time, they only let girls play softball. So the expression, let's play hardball. Like, let's suppose you're negotiating a deal and you're selling some land and you're an adult and you're like trying to get a good price for some land you have, and the person's being a real idiot and you're trying to negotiate a price. You go, okay, you want me to play hardball? It's going to be like this. So hardball is a baseball expression.
I don't know. I'm getting sabbatical, or maybe I'm getting more religious or not. But if someone wants to take advantage of me, I would have probably just walk away. I wouldn't want to have any argument or something. Hardball or softball.
No, hardball means it's something you're passionately arguing about. Like, suppose you have some land and some property and someone's trying to give you a price that's not correct. And what you're saying is you're not going to be aggressive about it. So also in baseball, baseball is also used like when you go on a date and you're like a teenager, they say, like the boys would say, oh my gosh, like after the date, the boys will talk like, did you get to first base? Did you get to second base? Did you score, which means a home run? So maybe first base is the girl, stuff like that. But I don't know. The
I'm
radio.
Not sure who's having home in that situation, because the boys like to think that they had a girl, but I think in reality it's the other way around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know
who's like the weak gender? Do you think it's man or woman?
Say it again. Who calls the shots?
Weaker? No. Who do you think is a weak gender? Is it man or woman?
Well, there's weak men and weak women. then there's the alpha men and the alpha women. There's these different.
Okay, I accept that. Okay, you don't want to answer that. Okay, that's okay with me.
I would say in general, I think that in terms of like IQ or the ability to use a computer or the ability to drive a car, like my grandmother never drove a car. She never put gas in a car. My grandfather did that for her. And my grandfather always opened the door. And in my generation, I put gas in my own car. I get my own car fixed. I drive my own car. And that's just accepted in my generation. But I think that I don't think weak is the right term, because women can be manipulative with their weakness. Like, I don't really like to fix my car, so I pretend to not know anything about it. Like, oh gosh,
yeah, that means you're strong and you're smart, and you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I think we live in that Alice in Wonderland, because everything is in the world. But somehow we believe in we are taught of. I don't know how to explain that.
I think when, for example, if you're going too fast and the policeman stops you, if you flirt a little bit with the policeman, like, oh, officer, I'm so sorry, and you kind of flirt a little bit, you can get out of the ticket.
Yeah, but I've seen that they had women patrolmen because they man to woman contact can be considered either how do I put that in words? Because if you have a woman officer and there is a woman who broken the law, the woman officer will be Can you help me out? Because I'm
well,
not.
Usually when they're in a car, when they're making a call, they're with a partner. So it could be a woman next to a woman that they stop.
Exactly, because if there is a woman officer, she can always not objectify, but look at the woman who broken the law. More objectively, is that how would you say?
No, a lot of women hate other women. Any woman that's getting successful, there's also these women that hate them, that are jealous of them, and that, women are awful. I actually prefer men.
Are you saying that you hate being a woman?
I like being a woman, but I'm saying the pettiness of women, the jealousy of women, the games that women play, I don't like to be a part of it. So sometimes I just prefer to, hang out with some of my friends.
I like women. I like women police officer. I would have when you go to the airport security and there is the woman who fight you for the weapon or for legal, I don't know, drugs or whatever. I like that a lot. Sometimes I just buy tickets to be because. Not that I am, but you know, and that's not the point. What I'm talking about is my point is the radio. What you had, what brand was it? Who made it?
Let me ask you this. Listen a minute. I was actually flying from Houston to San Antonio, and I have mentioned this before, and I had my hair in a scarf and some gold earrings, and I don't know, like a skirt. I don't know what it was. I can't remember why. I guess I kind of looked a little bit Middle Eastern. And they stopped me at security, and there was a woman officer who was asking me all these questions, really aggressive questions. And she was really fierce. And she was saying, why do I have a one-way ticket? What's my business in San Antonio? It's only like a 1-hour flight. I was just going to see my uncle. But, both men and women can be, aggressive or manipulative. But over the years, I don't remember the name of that little radio, but radios have always been around, and there's a lot of shows. One of our subscribers, Jaredin, who we call the philosopher truck driver, he's actually from Minnesota, and there is a writer named Garrison Kaler, who has put together a radio show that's been on for years. It's called the Prairie Home Companion. So it's a radio show where they do something kind of like what we're doing with Petroma Therapy. They have guests, they have musicians, they talk about life, they talk about childhood, dreams, music. So some radio programming, especially NPR, National Public Radio, they'll talk about political topics or social justice topics or climate change or whatever. So I think radio.
I think political topic. I apologize for I don't want to be rude or interrupt you. Just because I can't keep it in. I can't keep it in. I couldn't keep it in any longer. Well, okay. American language is so complicated. What I meant was politics, and also, I don't know what else. So I was going to say that politics is a subject that everybody has an opinion on. But I don't think that this opinion everybody is in any way related or close to what really is going on. Like, if you think that something is this and that, I'm absolutely sure that your opinion is wrong.
Well, the thing is that there can be a traffic accident and different people can report different things. Or, for example, in Texas, the governor of Texas just signed into law last week that construction workers and people who work outside do not have to have a 10-minute break for water after they've worked 4 hours. So that's now a law. We're in a huge heat wave in Texas, and that's politics. So some people would say,
but it's not politics. It's just a heat wave. Okay, politics is when you think, there's a Cold War going on.
The law is political. Some people say it's politically motivated. But my point was just that radio programs, there's a lot of different types of radio programs. Like there's, radio programming, like Christian radio programming, or there's music radio shows, there's rock and roll radio channels. So there's all these different channels that people can listen to. And before the advent of MTV, where you could watch music programs on TV, a lot of people were listening to music on radios. So
I hate MTV. I think their music sucks, but I love the Beavis and Butthead. I don't remember what the cartoon they had, Beavis and Butthead. I don't know. You ever watched that? Yeah, I love that because it's so silly. It made me laugh. I don't know if you like it.
I could never watch it because I don't like the title of it. I found it very trashy.
but maybe you should have, because sometimes if you see a thing and you think, no, I'm not gonna go into it because it sounds bad. But when you get into it, you understand the title isn't a reflection of essence, right? Is that? I don't know. I don't know what you like.
The title, like for example, there's some people they love Family Guy, they like South Park, they like. Well, I mean, there's all kinds of programming that people like, or people they don't like. It's just kind of a matter of opinion.
Yeah. Did you ever use? Have you ever used walkie-talkie? Because I had 2 years ago when pandemic hit us, I bought me
you
too.
You had a walkie-talkie?
Yeah, I bought myself because my summer house, which is known as dacha, and I had to evacuate my family, and actually my younger daughter, and I used that walkie-talkie because it's convenient. Have you ever used walkie-talkie? Do you have any recommendations?
I don't know. I think my brothers had one. I've never used them. I had a book. No, No,
What,
no, I
what
haven't used.
book? Are you sure you're talking? Well, I'm just to be on the same page because I'm talking about radios and
I know. I'm
walkie-talkie.
saying I didn't have a
But you're talking about
walkie-talkie.
books, and if you and the brother had the book, you couldn't talk using the book
No, what we did
to
is
each other.
this: we made our own. We were children. I made a pretend walkie-talkie thing. Just a minute. I got a paper cup, 2 paper cups, and punched a hole in the bottom and put a string in it. And then I went into one room, and my brother was in the other room, and the string reached around the room, and somehow we kind of sort of talked to each other using this paper cup and string thing. I mean, it wasn't a walkie-talkie, but it was a concept of a walkie-talkie. But I think my brothers had, like guns, and they had wives, and they had, I don't know.
I had a friend. I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't want to be rude or impolite or seem impolite, but I can't keep it any longer because when I was a child, me and my friend, and then his name was Oleg. It's not an American name, but still.
Oleg?
Yeah, you ever heard that name?
Yeah,
Oleg?
Oleg Cassini. Yeah, Oleg.
No, I don't know Sicilian or not, but my friend's name was Oleg. And we dropped the line because we lived in that apartment building, and there was not even concept of walkie-talkie at the time. So we dropped the line and we talked to each other like regular people, like regular phone users. And yeah,
That's cool.
I don't know why. I don't know why I bring it up. Just I haven't seen him like my childhood friends. Do you keep in touch with your childhood friends?
No, because we moved every 2 years. It's making me really sad.
What is it that makes you sad? Because you moved, or because you're not in touch with your childhood friends?
My childhood was in like 5 or 6 different states and in like about 9 countries. So I had traveled to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of places. And so I could never keep it. I don't know. I didn't keep up with friends because I kept moving.
No, I'm sort of jealous, kind of jealous. Because again, speaking of that, Lee Child is a British author. He wrote a few books about Major Reacher, and Major Reacher was born. He's an American officer. He's in the military police, I guess, 110. So I don't know how. I don't know. I'm bringing it up out of my memory. 110 military police. Yeah, I guess the military unit was 110.
I have OLEG. Oleg Tarov is a Russian actor. Oleg the Wise. Oleg Zoka. There's like so many Oleg Cassini. Here's a double agent. Oleg Gordevsky. There's all kinds of.
I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
Didn't you say you had a friend named Oleg?
Oh, that I said yes.
And I'm just saying, the name Oleg, I remember a designer who makes dresses. His name was Oleg Cassini, and I was just.
Oh, I never knew that there was such a designer. Was he like an Italian?
Well, he's like a super famous designer.
Was he Italian? I don't know. I never heard of him. But that doesn't mean that he didn't exist.
You know who Audrey Hepburn is? Audrey Hepburn.
Because Oleg is a Russian name. I'm not sure that if there wasn't such a famous designer with the Russian name.
He's the number one. Oleg Cassini wedding dresses. To wear an Oleg Cassini dress,
wow,
is something really amazing. I'm just saying that he's a famous designer. And I don't know if he has a radio or not.
No. I'm interested. I'm confused because, first of all, his name is Oleg, which is Russian, and the second is because usually the designer woman causes always men. I don't know how it works, but
Okay,
it's
pause a minute. Just pause a minute. Oleg Cassini is a fashion designer born into an aristocratic Russian family with a maternal Italian ancestry. So he's Russian. He came to the United States as a young man after he started working in Rome. So he's Russian, Italian, then he came to the United States. And he designed for like Joan Crawford, Joan Fontaine. He was a designer for Jackie Kennedy. He did the sportswear for, JFK. He's the designer, and he.
I liked when I first saw. I hope you already had me forgiven because I keep interrupting you all the time. But when I first saw that Jacqueline Kennedy picture, I thought, what a beautiful woman.
Yeah, she was good looking.
Yeah, also that's
this
not...
guy,
okay,
Oleg Alexandrovich Lewski, the elder son of blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he's like Italian, Russian, and then he came into, trained in Italy. And then he came he studied political science. I like him. He moved to America. Yeah.
Hey, imagine that we separate yourself, but we segregate each other by Russian, Italian, American, I don't know what else. But in reality, we some sort of a passenger on this rock called Earth. We're like, I don't know what speed we're moving at in space, because the universe keeps expanding, I think. We don't even, like, in 100 years, would that even matter? Because we are all passengers on this spaceship called Earth, right?
Well, I think from the perspective of the future, maybe the things we worry about right now don't seem that important. Because if you look back into time, like we looked back into time of when we got our first radio, and I told a story about something. Now, when did you get your first radio?
I really loved. Hey, do you remember that in the Cold War times there was such a radio station called Voice of America, and I tried to tune in to because there were Russian shows to get to know what's it all about, and not that I was impressed or something, but that was, I think, about at the age of 10 years old. Yeah, that was the time when I first got my radio. How old were you when you got your first radio?
I think I was maybe 13, something like that. Everybody else had them before me. I had to
what do you mean? What do you mean? Like everybody else had that before you?
No, what I'm saying is the girls at the school they came from. I wasn't going to a military school then. I was going just to a regular school in San Antonio. The girls who were rich and the girls who had the best dresses and the best purses, they had transistor radios right away. And I remember they had all these things. And then that summer, I somehow got the courage to ask my mother. And then she said, go ask her grandfather. And then that summer, I somehow got my radio. And then I went to the swimming pool. So then I had my book with me. So I'm just saying there were girls in my crowd and boys. The boys would put them in their pocket, like the front pocket with their pen or something. Like I'm saying, the rich kids had them before me.
Yeah, okay, I see. And not to change the subject, but I was driving. Actually, I've just come home. And I was driving and listening to a podcast that Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman is Lex is Russian. I think he left Russia. He was, or maybe Ukraine. I don't remember. He was 10 years old, or maybe younger. But he
Yeah.
lives in the US. And he had the podcast, or he had episode with Jackson. What's his name? We discussed that a few days ago. McConaughey. What's his name? Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about you. He had an hour and a half, I think, an episode with Matthew McConaughey. And I was thinking, wow, isn't it wonderful that I have someone in Texas who's also a Texan? I'm thinking, well, he's not American, but that, okay, for the sake of argument, just not focus on that.
Yeah.
He's a Texan and she's a Texan, and I can talk to her like Lex talks to Matthew McConaughey. And I thought, isn't it wonderful? And then again, that thought come to my mind that we were hurtling through space in that spaceship we call Earth, and which is basically a rock. I'm not agreeing with that because I don't think that we intelligent people can be born on something like on a rock. That something is not intelligent, or I don't know how to explain that. Anyway, you get my idea because I think the Earth is intelligent.
I've heard of this fellow, Lex Friedman. I'm just looking something up. He's a Russian American computer scientist, podcaster, and artificial intelligence researcher. He does his research at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and he hosts his own podcast. But I didn't know that he had interviewed Matthew McConaughey. But
oh yeah, absolutely. I loved it because Matthew didn't say I met Mr. McConaughey. Okay, he didn't say anything like super smart or something. But I liked his style, or he was
very down to earth. Yeah, he's very charming, very down to earth. Very compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
He has a lot.
And I'm not sure if Lex kind of disassociated himself this time with Russia, or I don't know, because he's a U.S. citizen. He can do whatever he wants to. But the interview he had with Matthew McConaughey was wonderful. I like it for no apparent reason. He also what I was going to say, I don't know. I feel stupid next to you. I apologize. That's all I want to say.
Don't say that. Don't say that. No, it's just interesting how, a lot of people are listening to radio programs and listening to podcasts, and I like a lot of the NPR shows. And also, when I was living in Turkey, I remember listening to the BBC because for some reason the radios we had was just like all Turkish. And then I remember the television was like all Turkish. We watched the show Dallas with JR and, all that TV show. It was in Turkish. Everybody was speaking Turkish. But I remember listening to Voice of America. I remember listening to the BBC. But the radio, the voice of the radio people are very captivating. And I think that Matthew McConaughey has a great voice. He's got a great style. And,
I don't think he would be the best if he became governor of Texas. I think that would be his funeral because the politics.
No, he's not going to do that. He doesn't want to. Also, his wife is never going to allow that. Once you're
he said something about his wife. He said, well, he asked Lex, oh, are you married? Do you have a family? Lex said, no, I wish I could, or something like that. I paraphrasing that. He didn't say I wish I could or something, and Lex and Matthew said, Mr. McConaughey said, well, I met my wife when I was like in my late 30s, and I thought, oh my God, this man that every woman once met his wife when he was in his late 30s, and I was driving, I was traffic jam and stuff like that, and I thought, what is going on?
Well, I'm looking at something about him. He's 53 years old now. He was born in a small town in Texas. His wife's name is Camilla. He has 3 children.
Yes.
He has 2 siblings, a brother named Rooster and a brother named Pat, and his university is University of Texas. And
Hey, can you name your child Rooster? Because I thought that's kind of a nickname.
you can name your child whatever you want.
Yeah, but is it like usual or regular? Because Rooster, I'm asking because I've seen this movie like a while ago, like Top Gun, I don't know, 10 or something, a sequel. And there was a Rooster on the, one of the pilots was.
I'm looking at some pictures of him. And he was born in Houston, Texas. His name is Rooster McConaughey. And
okay, no, I'm just asking, not that one.
No, I don't know anybody else named Rooster, but here he's smoking.
Have you watched like Interstellar? Because I watched it, but I didn't understand a thing.
Interstellar, what?
The movie, the famous. I'm surprised that you didn't know, but that I've seen that, I've watched that, but I didn't understand it. I know many people into that, but I like personally. I like Inception, but there is no Matthew McConaughey in it because but Matthew McConaughey.
No, I didn't see that one, but
okay. I'm just asking. Okay.
Well, let me ask you this.
I have a cat. The cat.
Does their cat listen to the radio?
Yeah, but she doesn't understand, I think, anything that you're saying, because you're American, she's Russian, and also she's a cat. And do you think if you had a cat, and I speak to her in American or maybe in Russian, would your cat understand what I'm saying?
Cats listen to the tone of voice.
Do you listen to the tone of voice?
Yes. I mean, for example, you have another channel where you read some stories in Russian. And
I do? Okay.
If I'm really bored, sometimes I would listen to you read a story in Russian because you're reading with inflection.
Yeah, but you're implying that you're a cat, okay? I'm like the owner, and you're trying to understand what I'm trying to. We both try.
You're reading a story called The Lady and the Dog. So if I was a cat, I would just be listening to the tone of your voice, how it goes up and then how it goes down and how it goes faster. So if I was a cat, I would not know the specific words, but I might find it nice to listen to you reading, and I might hang around for that. But if I did not like what you're reading, like once you read something called Sharks, you read something called Shark in English, and you had a real weird tone of voice, even though I
was yeah, I don't know how you get that, because I erased that from my channel. Oh, I don't even remember. It was 2 years ago. I was trying to. Do you know what?
You sound like a mass murderer.
Do you know what SAMR or something like that? When someone's whispering, and other people like it. I don't know how to describe it. ASMR. I guess that's what it's called. ASMR. Because if you try to record your whisper, somehow you can find people all over the world who likes it. Can go figure.
That's so funny. That's just...
Seriously. Can you try use your phone as a recorder and you whisper, find a short story. Ernest Hemingway, cat, lady in cat. What's that story? Cat in Rain. Whisper it. Like you're trying to be as intimate as fast as it gets. Can you do that for me?
Okay. Well, hang on a second. For our listeners, I'm going to explain what ASMR. It stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. It is a term used to describe a tingling, static-like, or goosebump sensation in response to specific triggering audio or visual stimuli.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But I couldn't explain that the way you did, because again. What? Okay, whatever.
Well,
But
I'm just
but,
reading
but
from
you get
Google.
the idea. Yeah, can you like whisper the whole story written by Ernest Hemingway, which is called "Cat in the Rain"? Can you whisper it? Can you whisper it?
Uh-huh, I can. I
I'm
can whisper it. I can
on
whisper
the
it.
record.
Yeah, I'm whispering it just right now. Just a second.
No, because you're not whispering it. First of all, you're
I'm gonna
talking.
whisper it. I'm gonna whisper it. Stop
Yeah,
talking.
and you like your channel will explode because I don't know why people like to. I don't know when women narrate
Oh, when
something in a
women are
whisper, half of the men's population, or maybe a whole population of the world's like getting excited.
No, I know, I know. I read Haji Murat. It's not even that. I mean, you were not crazy about Haji Murat, but I read it on a different channel of my own. I had so many people listening
Yeah,
to it,
yeah.
and they kept
And
wanting me
try
to
to
record
whisper it.
more.
If you whisper it, you'll get like a million subscribers in a week.
No, I just remember I kind of read it in a very kind of descriptive and kind of just like, and then he was riding across the plains and there was a thistle in front of him and the thistle reminded, like, I
Yeah,
read it like as if I was really close to somebody and telling them sort of a secret story. And I just remember
yeah,
people's writing there like, you have such an amazing voice. I just, yeah, I get, maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. Uh, in fact, when I was 5 years old, or not 5 years, I was in I don't know, I was 15 years old. We had this story. We had the teacher told us to read this story, a poem, and I read it somehow, and I didn't even notice, but everybody like were listening. My classmates were. Everybody was talking before I started to read it, but when I finished it, by the time I finished it, everybody was like listening into it, and the teacher said, "Wow, like you read it like really great. Like I've never ever seen anybody who reads a story or the poem. I don't remember like great as you did." And I thought, "Wow." My baby, and I still remember that. Maybe my I don't know, my life's purpose is is I only need to hit it once. I only need to get that bingo or
Yeah.
once, right?
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
you're playing a game of chance. You just need to
yeah,
keep playing. Maybe you'll hit the magic numbers. But
yeah,
yeah,
and it's never late because again, I don't want. I know you're not pro Trump, you're anti, but that's not the point. The Trump is 78, I think, right? And I'm actually jealous. Not that I'm jealous, but I I wish I could do the same by the age I'm a 70 or 78 because
well, you still have plenty of time.
yeah,
Remember,
I
there.
know, but everybody has its own path, and my path is different. I'm not gonna be like a president by the age of 70. Something else. There is something like there is no fate. Someone can say there is no fate, and other people say there is. Yeah. Well, the point is,
Well,
you never used that walkie-talkie, and we can't talk.
well, I know that the walkie-talkie was used like Hemingway when he was an ambulance driver. He must have had like a walkie-talkie, and
Kennedy was the
people.
ambulance driver. I never knew that.
Yeah, he was an ambulance
Interesting.
driver.
Oh,
Yeah, in the war, and then
oh,
he he used to shoot big game in Africa, and in the 007 movies, the James Bond movies, they have like, if it's set back in the past, they might have a walkie-talkie, or he always had some little funny gadgets that would do different things.
It's really convenient, except that somebody can always listen. Because when I use it, there's a security guy from the nearest shop center. He said, hello, is it? And maybe I should have somehow, what's that called? Decipher it? No, cipher it first. But I was in a hurry. I bought it as is. And apparently I could listen, or maybe other people could listen, but I'm saying.
Well, it's so interesting that when we read the story, The Cat in the Rain, I couldn't exactly find it online, and I had to look around, then I had to print it out. Now we're not even reading it, and I found it right away. And
absolutely, it's well, you can Google it, Cat in the Rain, and you'll get the full text.
I know, but I can't. Yeah. So anyhow,
in no time.
with the radio, there's also performers that started off on the radio. So people never saw them on television. They never saw them on a stage.
Like, I love that. I love that, because if you want to be on TV, I don't know, you want to get on TV, you have to have that appearance that everybody likes. But if you're using the radio, no one sees you, just hear a voice. And if you have a talent that you have that voice, right?
Yeah, Johnny Cash and June Carter, also the Beatles, the Beach Boys, all these people, not the Beach Boys, but the Beatles, the Beach Boys. All those
what are you saying? What are you saying? I mean, the Beatle guys, they were perfect.
No, they started off
also Johnny Cash,
yeah. So Johnny Cash and June Carter, I think, started off on the radio, but then they got onto TV. But I think radio is one way of sharing information. It's a way of sharing music. It's a way of just
do you know how radio works? Because if you somehow get brought back 400 years, would you be able to explain to the scientists at the time how radio works?
How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm somehow get transported 500 years back, I wouldn't be able to explain to who was it? I don't know what.
I'm going to explain it to you right now. A radio transmits and receives electronic magnetic waves. They move back and forth, and they pass through the air, and these are radio waves, but they have to go to a transmitter. So if you have a dial on your radio, sometimes the station comes in with a lot of static, and you have to twist it just a little bit to get the correct frequency. So we use the expression, hey, you're totally on my wavelength. Like, that's an expression that people use right now. Like, let's suppose somebody went out on a date and someone says, well, what was he like? Says, well, he was not on my wavelength. I didn't like him. So being on someone's wavelength is kind of a radio expression. And the waves, the electronic magnetic waves, pass from the little radio box through these stations that are like on these big
but do you even know the Morse code?
The Morse code is a different episode. Tick 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 tick.
No, I want you to yes or no, do you know how to use the Morse code?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
No, seriously, because I think it's wonderful. When I was in school, me and my mates, we used, I think, something similar to a Morse code to get each other messages that if anybody gets that, they wouldn't get an idea what I was talking about, but we knew. And the Morse code is very much the same. So for each letter in the alphabet, there is a code. And if you knew which corresponds which, you'd be able to understand the cipher.
No, I don't know. And actually, the Morse code, they have operators who can like type it to communicate with it.
Yeah.
And I think it was invented for military purposes. And one of the most famous ones is SOS.
Oh yeah, it's called Mayday these days.
Yeah, yeah. And the Coast Guard was using it.
We get born, people get born, and then we leave and we die, and your reality just shuts down. That's what we call death. And I think, damn, if my reality shuts down tomorrow, wouldn't that sucks?
No, it can't shut down tomorrow because we have to interview Mark Stevens on Friday. He's going to talk about the Bayswater Bridge.
What happened to Mark? I wish all the best to him. I hope he survived it.
No, what happened? There was a huge storm that came through and knocked out power and electricity in many, many places. And there was some damage around his house, but he said that his electricity was able to stay on. And then, but it was so shocking and strange, and there was so much noise outside that he didn't really feel like he could record last Friday. So we've postponed it to this Friday. And he says that this Friday is also going to be a little bit difficult because it's the small town fair and this kind of like a parade and a carnival. And there's a lot of noise. Well, I think if a parade.
Do you know if Mark has a cat?
No, he has a plant. He's into plants. I'm going back to the Morse code.
That's a pity because I have a cat and you had a cat and
I don't know. The truck driver guy had a fox. Okay.
I never had a fox. I wish I did, but I wish I had. I don't know. Is there a difference between having a cat and fox? Do you think that?
Yeah, cat is domesticated. Foxes are not domesticated. I'm going to tell about.
If you find it like a baby fox, you can domesticate it.
No, you can't. You cannot domesticate a fox.
If you give it food, right, that means she's getting domesticated. And if you give it every day, she eventually will.
Have thousands of years of being domesticated. The wolf and the fox are wild predators. I just want to say that the Morse code was invented by an American in 1830.
Yeah, but still, I'm thinking about foxes and how to get it domesticated. Because if someone's having food from you, food is important, right?
Yeah.
Like if woman depends on men, it's eventually or fox. If you give food to a fox, hold on, just she wants.
What?
No, my cat is meowing. She wants some meat, but I want to feed her meat because meat is for human, and we have a cat food for a cat, and she's like angry because I'm not giving her human
Okay,
food.
Listen to this. This is very important. Your cat heard us talking and now is taking your attention. Here it says, should you keep a Russian red fox as a pet? Unlike dogs, no foxes in the U.S. have been domesticated. All species of fox are considered wild, red, gray, Arctic. They are wild.
Yeah, but I'm not even sure if fox is a cat or dog, because I've seen.
It's a wolf. It's like from the wolf family.
No, you're confused. I'm talking about foxes, not wolves, and fox is not the wolf.
It is not a cat. It's from a different species. Oh my gosh, this is
Okay, maybe it's not a cat, but it's definitely not a wolf. It may be a dog, or I don't know what kind of species there are besides the cats. Because I only have a cat. I didn't have I don't have a dog. I'd like to, but did you ever do you wanna? You ever had a dog?
I'm going to go back to the fox a minute. The fox are from the family of a certain family. They have a long bushy tail. Now, a cat has a tail too, but they're not in the same family. So, just a second. There is the domain, the kingdom, the phylum, the class, the order, the family, and the subfamily. So, the fox is in one group, and then cats are in a different one. They're not in the same domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order. So I guess we have to make another episode.
I'm thinking of Tina Fey.
Because she's foxy? Oh my goodness. I don't think we're going to be able to finish this episode. There's just no way out. I can't find a way out of the episode.
Yeah, I don't want to overload you with whatever it is I have, but with my issues. But since I don't know how long the therapy session lasts in the US.
Well, we really appreciate some of our listeners who listen to the end. Michael is so proud that he listens to the end. Like, I don't know. We have various.
I love Michael, but by the way, I'm not sure if he gets to listen this episode to the end, because if he would, Michael, I'd like to say that you're like my friend I never had, and we've never ever met. But if we had, I think we'd be like the besties.
I think so too, and we're going to have to all meet up in Albuquerque, remember? And he's going to take us around Albuquerque, and you're going to...
Yeah, because Albuquerque is the place where they filmed Breaking Bad, and Breaking Bad, the best TV show I ever watched. Not the best TV, but one of the
favorite one.
Yeah, favorite one. Hey, am I getting? Oh, you getting tired? Because
no, I'm just trying to look up different types of foxes, and then the page I'm on is talking about belly fat. That's belly terrible. Fat? There's so many types of foxes. There's Darwin's fox and island fox and a red fox and a gray fox.
Do you want to talk about Chinese whiskey or just Maker's Mark?
No, I don't. I don't think that Chinese whiskey is going to be on this episode, but I don't know. I feel like I listen to the radio. I like to put it on when I'm driving around in my car.
Yeah,
where do you listen?
No, I only listen. I don't listen radio on my car anymore, because I listened to some kind of old recordings of what's his name, Tom Leykis show. It's in the 90s. There was such a man in the US. His name was Tom, and his last name was Leykis, and he was a misogynist. Yeah, I'm not sure if you like it. Yeah. But his name is Tom, and his last name is Leykis. And if you Google it, you'll find him. And that's what I like to listen.
That sounds great. Here it also says foxes eat cats. They like to eat kittens.
So yeah, that's like that in no way. But
I think
okay.
I think that's going to be the end of your domesticating the fox.
I've installed that IP camera, and I have motion detector, right? And I can check every morning what's who's or what moved in front of it, and it usually foxes and eagles. Eagles is what would you call it?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Cats, and mouse. Everybody, which initially I thought that would be a human thieves and some kind of
Well,
evildoers. But no,
in
it's all
in
animals.
the like there's Facebook, there's all these different communities, online communities. So there's one online community, MeWe. Uh, I have some friends, and there's Instagram. So in MeWe, there was somebody. He did it. He hasn't been around for a couple years, but his name was Waldo One or something like that. Like, where's Waldo? And he lived up north, like, yeah, I think he lived in Minnesota, where Jaredon lives, and their kids went to the same school or something. Gosh, I don't think anyone's going to listen to this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyhow. So he had bought a house. He had a couple kids. He's married, and he put these motion detecting cameras around, and also they could record. He added some more equipment so it could record. And his land backed up onto some forest or something, or fields. And, sometimes there was like so much snow that the kids couldn't go to school, or he couldn't go to work, or his wife couldn't go to work, or I don't know. So, anyhow, I remember he was telling us that he put these motion detectors because he wanted to be sure, like, no thieves came to, rob the house. But what he discovered was that there was someone, sometimes he had to go away on trips.
Yeah, the technology complicates our life too.
Yeah. So while
I think the previous generations were much happier than we are.
Yes, I'm saying that. He and his wife were having some problems. So I was suggesting that they go to counseling, and he says he's not really sure that counseling will help because.
Absolutely. I can relate. I agree that counseling actually never helps. It just charge you and take your money, and but it never helps. Yeah.
But
yeah.
anyhow, this guy
Maybe I'm
went
being
ahead.
misogynist, but yeah.
No. He saw some man was visiting his house, so he continued.
That's actually yeah. Okay.
So anyhow,
That's awful.
I just don't think that technology is really helping us.
I would have taken my shotgun and like discharged.
Yeah.
Like if all the rounds I had into that man who was visiting my house.
And he's into guns too and shooting and stuff. He's a really nice guy. But
aren't you into guns?
That's another episode. That's another episode.
I don't know, because all the episodes they're mixed up in my head right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
For this episode, you're going to have to.
In 100 years, would everybody able be tell any difference?
I don't know. We've talked about so many things. This is just like.
Yeah, but no, we talked about radios. We actually we stayed focused on the radios because we are. We did. We had. I don't know. The American language is so complicated again. It's much more like French. I think French would be much easier. Unfortunately, I don't speak any. But
well,
yeah.
There's always tomorrow, right?
I don't know. Tomorrow never. What's that? But James Bond movie?
Oh yeah. You're in tomorrow already. I'm still in today.
Isn't that interesting? I think we've been duped. Or what's the word? Because
that's
if
perfect.
the world, if the Earth isn't round, if it's flat, what then?
Well, what I'm thinking more about time. That like here it's early evening. It's coming up on 7 o'clock on Sunday night, but you're already past midnight, and you're already into Monday. So like you're into Monday, and I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I have to go to work in the morning, but that's okay.
Also, I don't have a bell to end the episode. This is going to go on forever.
What happened to that? Did you lose it?
No, the thing is, I was lifting some plants on the patio, and I pulled a muscle in my back. So I came to the bedroom to lie down. And I was laying down here, and I realized I didn't have the bell. And just the thought of standing up to go to the other room to get the bell, I took some like extra strength Tylenol because I pulled a muscle of my lower back. So
do you have any firecrackers or I don't know, something to signify the beginning of the episode and the end of it?
The beginning and don't you have something there at your place?
Shotgun, but I'm not sure my license is still valid. But
no, what if don't you?
Yeah, I have a shotgun. Do you think the shotgun, the shots fired at 2 a.m. would be okay?
I don't think that's going to be a good idea. I don't think it's going to be a good idea. We need something. I have the bell in my car. I have an extra bell. Let me see what kind of bell
I thought you had lots of extra bells by now, but
I have a box.
Yes, that will work. That will suffice. Okay,
what about that? It's a box.
Okay,
Goodbye.
Bye.